Ladies and gentlemen, my clock is telling 4 o'clock on dot, and let's begin. Olainfarm is celebrating 40 years of good chemistry this year, as the introductory slide tells you. And I have to say, it's also been a year of great chemistry with its investors, as almost exactly a year ago we launched our webinar service with Olainfarm being an icebreaker. Since then, a steady audience of wide geographical and professional background has been a great reward for persistence, continuity, and communication skills as Olainfarm in its approach to webinars, and I have to also admit, in terms of Salvis Lapinja voice and a face of the company in front of the investors, and online for us as well today. Welcome, Salvis.
Thank you, Ines, and welcome everybody. I was about to say nice to see all your faces, because it seems like I already know you personally since then. Anyway, as Ines said, it's been 1 year since we're doing this, and 40 years since company been doing all the good chemistry it has. So very nice to see you in this, I think, very special occasion. Ines?
Well, before you begin with your presentation, a quick reminder for everyone who has joined us for the first time. I know you have a steady a fan club already joining us for the webinar with you, not for the first time, but we will open the floor for the questions and answer session soon after the presentation. Please use the chat pod on your right side of the screen to send in questions. We have also received around 11 questions via email and investors portals nowtheslatest.lv that will be given a preference. We'll address the rest of the questions afterwards. Those that will be left unanswered during the webinar will be registered and answered in written form in nowtheslatest.lv. Salvis, please, floor is all yours with the presentation.
Thank you, Ines. I will be trying to do my best to get all those additional questions answered as soon as possible. So now, ladies and gentlemen, let's begin. Let's begin the presentation. So let's first have a look at how we have been doing during the third quarter, if you look at it separately. So we made the sales of 12.5 million lats, for nearly 18 million euros, yet another record of ours. As you can see in this chart, so far this has been the best quarter, and of course the best third quarter. About 1.57 say the third quarter was unexpectedly good in a way. I was referring to some destocking in Ukraine, specifically in Russia in the second quarter, and I was expecting some reappearance of sales in the third quarter, but it turned out to be better than we expected, especially as you can see in this chart, since third quarters are never the best quarters in a year. So we hope very much that this is going to see the only Baltic investors represented. There was, as Ines has told me that there was one question sent in from Italy, but that person obviously is not joined us or is not answering the poll questions. Anyway, at least we have a stable and steady audience, which is always nice to have. So let's move to the next slide. Let's look at the profits. It's almost twice as big as it was last quarter. And again, as I've been telling many times, for those of you that have been here, this is a big company, and break-even points are high. But once those break-even points have passed, the profit is skyrocketing significantly, unless there are some adverse impacts. So obviously, no adverse impacts. Increase that we had here, and I'm glad to announce that again in third quarter there was no one-off adverse situations with pharmacies as we had them in second quarter. So their net margin is slightly below 10%, or quite approaching it. So we are also very happy about their restocking, especially in Russia, is can be seen quite clearly here, as almost one half of our sales are made there. Again, all the markets are performing quite well, except for Belarus. You see, Belarus has a mere 3% of our total pie chart. Quite well, as we see, 4 Western countries in our pie chart among top 10. Not something, don't see that picture too frequently. If you look at the product pie chart, not much has changed here. Still, we have pretty much the same diversity. We sell exclusively to one customer only, and shipments are big, so they happen to be a little less shipments in the third quarter of this year than they used to be before. So that resulted in for Remontadine is having an expectedly big share of 6%. So if you look at 9 million euros, which is about the same amount we had the entire year 2011. But at the same time, I see Ines has put next think our results for 9 months are better than expected, just as expected, or worse than expected. So please put your responses. Now back to the slide. About 4.7 million mats are sales made by pharmacies. So if we planned about 7, not that well experienced. I'm glad to say that we seem to be forecasting their business quite precisely. Again, 9 months this year, yet another record. As you are up by 14%, which again is pretty much in line with what we planned. Now, if you look at the profit for the same period, that there were no adverse, unfavorable, or favorable, or any kind of impacts on profit. So you can say these are pretty much real profits without any disturbance or any external price bigger than for the same period 2 years ago. And we already have met 74.2% of our annual profit target. So there are all the reasons in the world to believe that products for 9 months, how top 15 products are comparing to what we used to see a year ago. The major news probably are that Nairobi only for 4%, so it's not certainly not growing that as fast as we used to see them, which should sound like bad news. But then again, we see 13 for among Etazizine, Pencarol, they're all growing by somewhere between 11 and 20%. And also among best growth to the UK, it's also doubled in 9 months in general. For Guinea and Eldonian up 62%. So even if Neurobitin is slowing down, there is a second and a third. Look at countries, you see that Russia has performed tremendously well. It has a very high base of 10 million lats in sales for 9 months of last year, and this year. Two important countries have fallen a bit. 7% was sales are falling in Ukraine, and issues that there were in Belarus last year. So if we keep in mind the good growth we demonstrated in both of these countries last year, then minor volume correction that Ukraine sales in October very impressive. So there are reasons to believe that when we look at that in terms of year on year, then Ukraine might be back to growth. Best growing countries, of course, mathematically. Growth besides Russia, you see UK growing 100%. Latvia, which is also one of the important markets for us, has been growing 24%. Look at the more recent events. As we reported, we purchased two more pharmacies in Latvia, in Ogra and in I would like you to comment on how do you see Olainfarm, how would you value Olainfarm shares, how do they compare to other Latvian listed companies? But that's anyway. This purchase brings the total number of pharmacies to 41. I'm also glad to report that we have, since our last webinar, rather a certificate of appreciation for an impressive growth that we have demonstrated, and also in a ceremony of award ceremony for top 500 companies of Latvia. Excellent sales figures that we have shown in October. Months on month, in terms of months on months, our sales grew 99%. To Ukraine due to certain specific issues with Ukrainian legislation, but other than that, they are like regular sales of regular products to regular markets. This reports or elsewhere. So this time I decided to look at our top 4 markets and see what are the best-selling products in those markets. You see Neuromedin. I'm not sure if it could be seen that well, but let me tell you that Neuromedin in all our Russian is having a 14% stake in our all Russian sales. Neuromedin, in fact, is leading in all these four markets and probably in many more that I haven't covered here. But in again with 14%, and then all the others making up about 49% of Ukrainian sales. In Latvia, influence of Neuromedin is even smaller. Is number two by 8% for Latvian sales. So we have obviously managed to have a very good price and quality combination for Latvian market. And for Mag is here too with 6% in total Latvian offered to either Russia, Ukraine, or Belarus. Now, Belarus, which is currently our fourth market, excuse me for that, Neuromedin is Neuromedin 18% share in Belarus, and with others, all the other products combined, having a 36% stake. For some analysts, so I've pretty much covered the issues related to third quarter 9 months. And now, could you please rate how do you think Olainfarm's IR is organized? So from there on, we could. So that's pretty much the official part of the.
Hello. Well, thank you very much for the presentation. I will pose the polling question. Area to answered is about the number of fantastic. So let's move to the second question, but it's a very nice surprise to shortly. A question from our naudaslietas.lv portal reader. Why Mr. Lapin decided to sell a significant part or 33,000 of his Olainfarm shares in October? Wasn't the price increase motivating enough to keep them for a longer period of time?
Sound. Yeah, it was absolutely for personal reasons. If I knew the prices, I sold it at 303, right? So if I waited a bit more, of course. Reasons I stopped several investments of mine. exited them, and investments in Olainfarm are actually reduced even by less than half. So you see, it's my favorite investment.
We have a couple of questions from Nozara.lv, and the first one goes, will Olainfarm achieve its 2012 budget and activity targets consolidated turnover in 2012, which was 48 million lats, or profit 8.6 million lats?
Uh, 10 months, we made consolidated sales of roughly 41 million lats, right? So our target being 48, which 0.5 million lats each. I think those of you that are following us closely, analyzing us, understand that this is more than realistic. In a sense. So yeah, the answer is yes. We believe we have
and investment plans for the next year. For example, does Olainfarm plan to increase its product portfolio, or do you plan to invest in factory enlargement? Yes, how much, and what could be the turnover and profit in the year 2013, and how much of increase would you forecast in both of the positions?
yes, we have signed an agreement with that investment and development agency, whereby we would be investing up to 5 million lats in the next 3 years in different factory enlargements and as far as development is concerned, in terms of sales, etc., the as usual, the working version of it provides that our unconsolidated sales growth will be are concerned. It's too early stage for me to give any speculation about this. In a sense.
And the final question from Nozara.lv is, what is the status of the implementation of the new brand Latvijas Aptieka?
Oh, the status. A first pharmacy fully remodeled according to the new style, and that one is going to be is located in Nekans, which is what southwest part of Riga, and will provide separate announcement.
The set of the questions will come from the most, I think, devoted fan, Tai Vosilaste, who hasn't skipped any of the webinars of yours. And the first question is, any update on the Turkish market and the Polish market?
Polish and Turkish market, yes. Well, in Turkish market, our files are submitted there, and that too long ago. All the pretty much and we have some registrations there. From time to time, you see Poland appearing among our top countries. Say in a bigger shipments. So once we do make a shipment to Poland, you might see them in top 10, but then again, for a month or two, we don't sell anything there. Polish market, the activity, so there's no sales support for those products. That subject of our further negotiations with the partners. Trade issues with Poland, trade.
And since we started with related to it as a high hope these market in terms of growth and market there, namely Moldova. India have any significant relatively produce a market, so it's cheap.
Top priority. So we pay, let's say, you can say we pay more attention to, for instance, registering Olvazole in CIS countries, other countries of Eastern Europe, than we pay attention. Yes, and we have declared a number. Please do not expect that to be happening in 2015. 2016, as there are still lots of development plans. Now, the intention of the board is, as we declared a number of times, to raise the of net profits and dividends. For the profits made in 2011, we paid 12.5% in dividends. So you can do your calculation. Yes, sir? Actually, yeah, this is more an accountant. I wouldn't call it a glitch. It's been sort of kind of mistake or omitment or something. The thing is that the difference is 800 marketing expense, and this year we decided to put them under other distribution costs. Now, the glitch or mistake was in the fact that we did not make it comparable to previous periods, which we should basically should be subtracted from other distribution costs, and then you get pretty much comparable data, which is roughly 150,000 lats per quarter, which pretty much confirms it. Normally, it should be added to marketing.
I also have more of our now readers, and firstly also repeats what Martin Coote here is asking. From plan to the year company's owners defined it, and if yes, what it is.
Yeah, I think in a way I answered this a couple of questions ago. Coming back to the policy, yes, when financial situation started improving in 2008, 2000, specifically 2009, 2010, we, the board, decided that we should develop regulatory uncertainties here and there. What they faced was that in order for us to have an absolutely safe dividend policy, every single clause or space of maneuver and do not, because of one document, jeopardize the so far that there is a
What are your geographically and product-wise nearest competitors? How do you see the actually breaching EU regulations?
Companies that could compete. It's product competing with product and not the company. Or to be even more precise, it's the competition is happening here. So let's say almost every single company in the region has one or two products that is somehow competing with one or two focus on more so niche of indications, of which products like and then through that you somewhat limit the competition because the specific indication for your product is maybe narrower, but there Latvian government can help us in for sales in Kazakhstan or something like this. Purely theoretically, of course, they could help in to Latvian hospitals, etc., etc. How is that allowed or disallowed by European law? I do not know. I guess there might be some of wish, right? If there is such a will, I think there always could be a way. In a sense. Um, okay, let me take the questions one by all these questions one by one. Now, the biggest and smallest bit. Significantly, and we've been making loss of 2 million euros that year, and that got reflected in the stock price. I believe the smallest price saying something like, "Oh, guys, we'll seriously overpay your share price. We'll be paying you 30 centimes per share, right?" Tell you from conversations that I I've heard, because my shares are way too small to be interesting for any major institutional buyer or strategic. They start with the words similar to seriously over the values of the stock very moment. This is where the conversation stops. 160 million is I do not know what is the biggest number. The buy of 106 for 160 million, speculative bid. Right? Um, did I answer all of those questions, Ines? Because there were so many. Mentioned this. They started producing energy a week ago. So what is it? 3.5 months ahead of the schedule. Themselves. So it's instead of Olainfarm, it's Olainfarm Energy does this now. We only buy the energy, the heat from them. Financial impact on our accounts yet, but the good news is the process has started, and which is very untypical for any construction. Let me think. Most likely first weeks of January.
Additional question: what is Olainfarm Energy using to produce energy? Natural gas, biomass, and we will come back to the question. And pharma products in Belarus so far.
Yes, there are 3 or 4 products sold. There are a couple of first shipments fully sold and new orders made. These are not even medicines that we are selling there. They're more sort of how do you call them? Medical device, I think is the right term for that. So and of course, on our on our overall sales that we are making in Belarus, the amounts are still quite small, but still the yes.
Thank you very much. I have no more questions on my hands, and the chat pod seems to be silent. That means hopefully that everyone's happy. for last 40 minutes. And I do hope to hear from you again next week. Next year, sorry, which means the most important part. Merry Christmas.
Times. Thanks everybody for listening, for joining again, and yeah, let's join again in about. And yeah, thanks again, and see you next time, or hear you next
Thank you
time.
very much, everyone. Exactly. I will leave the chat pod open for a little while in case. Thank you once more time, and I hope to see you back for the next webinars, probably already next year. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, thank you. Bye.